going on, everyone? My name is SiahZ, and welcome to our insane 140% move speed lightning arrow Amazon build. This build is able to run around T16 juice maps and clear them within seconds, being able to also burst down pinnacle bosses, full CI immune, and also we have insane amount of uptime of our energy shield thanks to our life leech being converted to energy shield leech. Overall, this is one of the best builds I played this league. It is super fun just being able to zoom around everything and clear maps within a blink of an eye, and overall I think you guys are really going to enjoy the build. Before we get into it, if you guys are enjoying the build guides and you're liking what I'm doing here on the YouTube channel, if you consider hitting a like and a subscribe to the YouTube, that means a lot to me. Plus it also helps out with the YouTube algorithm, and currently that is the best way to support me. Also should be live streaming on YouTube and Twitch. If you guys want to go check the build out, vibe with me on stream, the links for that will be in the description as well as the comment section of the video. All right, let's go right into it. The first thing we can get into here is the gear. So as for the bow, you want to look for a Gemini bow. This will have bow attacks fire an additional arrow on the implicit. Alternatively, you could look for one to have that additional arrow rolled onto the modifier, but it's much more easier to roll a Gemini bow. If you can obviously roll a Gemini with additional arrows, your clear will significantly go off and stuff. And we do want to look for that, but that can get really expensive. We also want to look for high accuracy and crit damage if we can roll onto there. Those are going to be the two most beneficial stats for us. After that, obviously, like crit chance, high physical, and stuff like that is still really good to look for on a bow. But those are basically what I kind of look for, is just high accuracy and crit damage. Then I'll go for there on a bow when I'm looking on the trade market to buy one. For our quiver, we are running Cardio's Gamut Prime Quiver. This is a new unique quiver that was brought in a few weeks ago with all the new class uniques. This quiver basically has a chance of each arrow fire to be one of these additional arrows. They each do a different thing. So Crescendo basically is going to allow 6 additional change, which is huge for clearing and does enable off-screen clearing and stuff. Splinter is also really good, allowing the arrows to split towards 6 different targets. Covetous is really huge for us because, I mean, if we kill an enemy with Covetous arrows, they're going to have 600% increased rarity on their drops, which is insane with the amount of loot and stuff that we can get. So running this quiver enables a lot of off-screen clearing as well as a lot of increased rarity. And one thing to mention too, the more additional arrows you have firing, the more chances of actually getting each additional arrow. So if you have 4 or 5 arrows firing, you're going to have a good chance of getting Covetous arrows, Crescendo arrows, etc. For the helmet, we are running the Black Insignia. This just basically gives us Tailwind on critical hit. So basically what Tailwind does is it's going to give us 1% increased move speed, 3% increased skill speed, and 15% increased evasion rating per stack. So that's 10% increased move speed we're getting, which is the main reason why we're running the helmet. I wanted to push for max movement speed on the build, so that's why I went ahead and rolled the Black Insignia. As for our gloves, we are running the Ascenta Sanguis gloves. This is going to allow our life leech to be converted into energy shield leech. So we just roll like one piece of gear with life leech on there, and then bang, we get energy shield leech, which enables us to have a lot of survivability. And since we're full CI, it's really good because we have basically full uptime of our energy shield without even having to really build into like energy shield recharge and all that stuff. So it's really nice quality of life. Plus it adds a little bit of DPS, which is nice overall. For our boots, these are pretty important overall to the move speed we're going to have on the build. So obviously you want to look for max move speed on the build. If you can, 2 rune sockets. And the one stat you pretty much need on here is 100% increased effect of socketed items. What this basically allows us to do is throw the new movement speed runes in. So obviously double rune socket means we can have 2 of them. They're 5% increased move speed each. So that means 10% increased move speed, and then actually with that increased effect of socketed items onto the boots, that means we get 20% increased move speed. It just doubles it, which allows us to have a lot more movement speed overall than not having that module onto the boots. So definitely something to look for there. For the chest piece, we are just going for a very high energy shield base, going for tri-elemental reses on it, so this way we can obviously be res capped and get a really high energy shield overall since we are CI. For our belt, we are running a Headhunter. This is pretty huge for the build because, one, it allows us to get modifiers off of rares for 1 whole minute, which is a very long duration. And this allows us to get a lot of things like Temp Bubble, Proximity Tangibility, more resistances, more damage. But it also allows us to get like haste and more movement speed modifiers off of enemies, allowing us to shoot our, movement speed percentage through the roof and a lot higher than what we can normally do base without running Headhunter. Plus, if you get like additional arrow mod and stuff like that off of rares, it just makes clearing feel so much better. So obviously that's the reason why I run Headhunter in this case. Now, you might have to get one corrupted with resistances to be res cap, so do keep that in mind. As far as our rings, we do want to look for 1 ring with the dex and intelligence, and then the most DPS modifiers you can actually get on our rings is lightning damage, increased lightning damage. So do keep that in mind when you're looking for rings. After that, now do keep in mind you do need to roll life leech on one of the rings. So this way we can actually enable, our energy shield leech. So do keep that in mind. But like I said, going for the lightning damage. Increased lightning damage is going to be the most DPS for us. As far as our set ring, I pretty much shoot for the same exact stuff, like lightning, increased lightning, and then mana per enemy kill is nice if we can get on there, so this way we don't have to worry about mana issues while mapping. If we need like reses, you can try to roll fire res, cold res, lightning, you know, whatever you're gonna need to be res cap, try to look for that as well. As far as the amulet, we are running a jade amulet to get that additional dex. You could run something like a lunar if you want here, you know, you can play with the bases if you do need the attributes and stuff like I did. You could roll jade, etc. From there, we do want to look for projectile levels on the builds, and so we can get a lot more DPS overall. And then after that, looking for like increased energy shield, plus the maximum energy shield. All that is going to give us a lot higher total value. And since we're full energy shield, we can't have like pretty much any life, we do want to look for those two stats that'll kind of maximize the amount of survivability we can have. As far as our charms go, we are running the rite of passage with the spirit of the cat. Well, this is really expensive. It's like 100 something divines, so you do not need to run this. This will just enable us to get additional movement speed, and that's all we're running it. We do get everything that's listed there, but the main reason, like I said, why we run it is increased movement speed. So spirit of the cat, spirit of the wolf, and I believe even spirit of the stag will give us the movement speed. So any one of those three will work. If you can't run any of those, don't worry. It, like I said, is only 15% more move speed, so you can easily get to like 115, 120% while mapping and stuff with their current setup still, even without this charm. So do keep that in mind. As far as the back bar, we are running the wand and shield still, so just look for the wand with increased critical chance for spells and increased chance of shocks, so we can apply shocks more often and more easily. As far as the shield, we are running the effigy of cruelty. This just allows critical hits with spells to apply stacks of weakness, which basically just means that we're going to get a lot more critical hit chance added to our base. This makes us go from, you know, like 35-40% chance to crit all the way up to like 80 to 90%. Doubling it basically, so it just adds a lot of overall DPS. So that's why I set ball lightning and stuff on weapon set 2, take full advantage of the effigy of cruelty and the wand. Now we can get into the gems. So for lightning arrow, highest level with quality, going with martial tempo for more attack speed onto it. Overextend, so we can have 30% more critical damage bonus with the skill. Pinpoint critical, it's so we can have 60% more crit chance. It will reduce the crit damage, but that's why we run overextend in this case. Lightning infusion, so we can have 25% of damage as extra lightning damage, and since we pretty much have 0 cold and fire damage, there's no downside to this gem to run. Primal Armament as well for 25% more weapon elemental damage. Going into lightning rod, we want to have this max level with quality. Now for the skills, we are going to have to gem swap a little bit, but we're going to be running concentrated effect for 30% more area damage since the skill counts as an AoE skill. From there, we are going to throw overextend onto our lightning rods, and we're going to throw deliberation onto our lightning arrow when bossing. When you're not bossing, you'll just throw deliberation back off and then overextend on your lightning arrow. From there, we are going to be running close combat for 25% more attack damage since we are going to be within that 1 meter range when bossing. And then we have elemental focus for 25% more elemental damage. We also are going to swap on primal armament into our rod since we're not running deepest tower anymore. Execute does nothing here, so we're going to throw primal armament on to lightning rods. And then finally, we'll throw bullseye onto lightning arrow when we're bossing. Then we have barrage. Barrage, it could be pretty much any level, just throw quality on there. We're going to throw premeditation for 15% more damage onto the skill. Ingenuity for 30% increased cooldown recovery rate. Second wind, so we get 2 uses out of the skill instead of 1. Arcane tempo to have more cast speed onto it, so this way the animation takes less time. And then finally, murderous intent. This way we have calling strike whenever we do use the skill. We basically just use barrage for like setting up rods to get them down quicker, and it's kind of a nice bursting to burst with lightning arrow into the tornadoes for a little bit more damage. Then we have conductivity to scale up to whatever level you can support with your intelligence with quality, going with cursed ground, so this way we can turn it into an AoE persisting skill basically. Heightened curse to have increase in magnitude of it, so it'll lower the lightning resistances even further, the enemy. And then finally ritualistic curse, so this way we can have an increased area of effect of it. Then we have Voltaic Mark. You can just have this on the lowest level possible with quality. Level doesn't really do anything. It's quality that will actually give increased effect of the mark. And this basically just allows us to shock enemies easier, and it gives more magnitude of shock, allowing us to achieve that like 100% magnitude on the enemy. Now we have Tornado Shot. You can go highest level with quality onto this with overabundance. This way we can have 2 tornadoes down instead of 1. Persistence to have more skill effect duration of it. Then we have Font of Rage. This is going to be basically the main way we get rage. We'll start tornadoes down, let rage tick up basically, and then we have Font of Mana on it as well to get more mana regen. Next, we're running Ball Lightning. You can go highest level again up to your int with quality. Going with Conduction to have 100% more chance of shocking. Overabundance, this way we'll have more magnitude of shock inflicted with the skill. lightning exposure, so this way we can apply exposure on the enemy, lowering their lightning resistances even further. Strip away to have increased effect of that exposure, and then finally unleash, so we can cast multiple instead of one. It just allows more consistency and actually shocking the enemy. Now we get into our reservation skills. We are running Wind Dancer still, so we can get more evasion rating. We're going to get 10% more evasion rating per stage, and we can have 3 stages, so that's 30% more evasion rating. It just allows us to have a pretty good overall evade chance, and obviously we kind of still want an evade chance with full CI, so this way we're not just going to be getting bombarded with every hit and never dodging any attack. On our Wind Dancer, we are going to have Unbreakable for 30% more stun threshold from heavy stuns and stuff, which is nice. Going with Energy Barrier, so say whenever this skill is procced, we can actually start regenerating our energy shield instantly. Charm Bounty to have more charms gained when the skill actually pops and kills enemies, which is kind of nice. Then finally, Arm's Length for 40% more knockback distance whenever we do proc Wind Dancer. Then we have our Herald of Thunder max level with quality, going with Lightning Penetration, so this way when the bolts come down, it'll penetrate their lightning resist, allowing it to do a lot more damage than normal. Long shots, this way it'll do 30% more attack damage to enemies 7 meters or more away from us, and we are basically off screening with Herald of Thunder and Herald of Ash combo, so having long shot in here just allows it to do so much more damage. Then we have Innervate. Basically this will give 35% of damage extra lightning damage whenever it kills a shocked enemy, and obviously since we're off screening, that is basically always up. Lightning Mastery to have another level into the skill, and then finally, since we do have the additional Spirit, since we have it on the amulet, we are going to be getting Deadly Herald in here to get 30% more damage with Herald of Thunder. Then we have our Herald of Ash. I would just go up to whatever strength you have. So if you have like 40-50 strength like me, you could probably do like a level 6 or 7 or so Herald of Ash. I'm running a level 4 right now. This is still putting in mad work, allowing us to off-screen clear and all that, because this procs off overkill damage, which just means any damage we do that exceeds the health of the monster, it'll proc Herald of Ash, so it's basically always procking. We're supporting Herald of Ash with Magnified Effect to have 30% more area effect on it. Swift Affliction, so this way its ignite damage will tick faster. Fire Mastery to have another level into the skill, and then finally Precision, because we have the Spirit. That's 30% increased accuracy rating, which means just, you know, more crit chance and all that good stuff from the actual Amazon Ascendancy, since we do want to accuracy stack and all that, so that's why we run it. And that pretty much covers it for the gems. Now we can get into the skill tree. So for our Ascendancy, we are going Amazon, going into Critical Strikes. This way we can gain critical chance equal to 25% of our excess chance to hit with attacks. So that's why we basically accuracy stack, so we get that crit chance. Then we're going into Penetrate, so 25% of the accuracy rating on the weapon will be added back as added physical damage, which is huge DPS on these two nodes. We'll also be going into Predatory Instinct, so this way we can reveal weaknesses against rare unique enemies, and on those weaknesses we'll be doing 50% more damage. For the last 2 points, we also will be going into Mystic Harvest. This way our life leech will be based on elemental damage as well as physical. So this way we have a lot of lightning damage, so we're going to have a lot of overall life leech. For the tree, we are going to be taking these movement speed points, going into Blur for the increased move speed, going into Cat-like Agility for the increased evasion, heading down and taking all of Cooked, going in and taking Escape Velocity for that increased movement speed and all that good stuff that it does give. I'll go into the jewels after we do the Hold Passive tree. We're going to be taking Catalyst for the increased elemental damage with attacks. With Weapon Set 1, we'll be taking all of Stand and Deliver. We'll head down and we'll be taking Maiming Strikes. This way we can get that increased attack damage. Plus the 2% move speed we get is really nice as well. Weapon Set 2 points, we're taking all of Frazzled and Rattled to get that increased shock duration and magnitude with Ball Lightning and all that, since we have that set to Weapon Set 2. Then with Weapon Set 1 points, we'll be taking Acceleration for that increased movement speed and Falcon Dive for the increased attack speed per 250 accuracy rating. Since we are accuracy stacking, that's a lot of added attack speed back to the build. From there, we're going to be heading up and taking Coming Calamity for the increased lightning damage, since we are affected by Herald of Thunder. We'll be taking Enhanced Reflexes for the increased evasion rating, and that percent increased dex that it gives is also pretty nice as well, allowing us to get to that like 212, you know, dex rating to be able to run like the Gemini bows and stuff like that. We'll also be taking all those crit clusters, so Hard Stopping for that increased crit chance and intelligence, Hard Breaking for the increased crit damage and strength, and then finally Struck Through for the 1% crit chance added to our base, which is really nice and adds a lot of overall DPS to the build. We'll be heading up and we'll be taking Throat Seeker with Weapon Set 1 points again. Then we'll be going into Exposed to the Storm. The lightning damage penetration that we get from this, plus the previous nodes leading up to it, gives us a lot of overall DPS, plus the increased crit chance against enemies with lightning exposure is really nice, since obviously we inflict it with our Ball Lightning. Since we are full CI, we will be taking Eternal Youth. This is just basically going to make our life recovery from blast, apply to energy shield instead. Then we'll be going into all this crit cluster, so true strike for that increased critical hit chance and dex, for the jugular for the increased crit damage bonus and intelligence. Then these nodes leading up into deadly force is like 70% increased damage if we got a crit recently, which we always are critting. With weapon set 2 points, we are going to come down and go into general electric, harmonic generator, and unbound forces. This way we can get a lot of that increased shock duration and increased magnitude of shock. This will allow us to achieve that like 100% shock magnitude. Then we basically just straight shot going into chaos inoculation. I do put 1 point into the stun and ailment threshold here, so this way we can get some ailment and basically stun threshold. So that is good there. It allows us to not be just infinitely stunned. We're then going to be going into ingenuity for the intelligence, so we can actually run like a full energy shield body armor. From there, we are going patient barriers, so this way we can get the increased maximum energy shield, which allows us to reach that 3k energy shield pull. And then finally, we're going to straight shot over and go into enhanced barrier and stuff like that, again for the increased energy shield. As far as the gems we're running, we are running a Megalomaniac. You do want to go for Adrenaline Rush, so we can get that increased move speed if we killed recently, which is huge. From there, you can do whatever you want. You can do a Prism Guard if you need the reses. You can go like Overwhelming Strike. You can go, and literally anything. Increase energy shield, whatever you want on the secondary. From there, we are running a Controlled Metamorphosis. You want to go for a massive ring here and lowest elemental res as you can. Chaos resistant obviously doesn't matter here since we are going to be full chaos immune. So lowest elemental resistances with massive ring. This will allow us to get stuff like Wildstorm for 50% more lightning damage. We can go for Moment of Truth for 20% increase critical hit chance, which is really huge. And then these two nodes as well for increased evasion and maximum energy shield. We are also running in against the Darkness Jewel. You want to look for damages, extra lightning damage. From here, you could roll like, another extra damage like Chaos or Fire or Cold, but obviously that gets really expensive. So honestly, just shoot for the damages, extra lightning. Then for the secondary stat, you could roll more reses, more maximum reses, anything like that. But mainly you just want to look for that increased damages, lightning. We are also running a Time Loss Emerald, going to upgrade the radius to medium, so this way we can get that increased crit chance for attacks on notable passive skills in radius. And obviously, since we have a lot of notable passive skills in radius, we can take full effect of that. From there, anything else that gives damage, like, increased damage against enemies that are rare or unique. You could do increased projectile damage, damage with bows, lightning damage, anything like that on top of it. But the main two stats you do want to look for this are upgrade radius to medium and increased critical hit chance for attacks. But that's it for the build guide. I hope you guys did enjoy it. Like I said, the build is an absolute blast to play. We're zooming through maps. We have 140% move speed. We burst down pinnacle bosses. This is honestly one of the most enjoyable builds I've played this league. It literally reminds me like I'm playing PoE 1 with the amount of move speed and zooming that we can do. And I think you guys are going to have a total blast with the build. As always, if you guys do enjoy the build guides and you're liking what I'm doing here on the channel, if you consider hitting that like and subscribe button, it does help me out a lot and it really does help with the YouTube algorithm. And in turn, that currently is the best way to support me. I also should be live streaming on YouTube and Twitch. The link for that will be in the description as well as the comment section of the video. Hope you guys have a great rest of your day or night depending on when you're watching the video, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.